Great to be back up here with another top-notch early-stage investor, Wesley Chan.
You get all of them.
I guess
Yeah.
so. But yeah, good to be here. And so, I've known you for a while, and you've always had a knack for investing in founders really early and then getting them to scale. Canva, for example. Tell me about what it is that you see in these early founders when it's just an idea, before they've even built what they're going to build.
Yeah, it's when you invest, a lot of people say, "Oh, who else is involved? Who else is investing?" They use that as a shortcut. If Sequoia is involved and Andreessen involved, like maybe we'll be involved, right? That's lazy, very lazy. So we sit there and we ask the first principal questions of why is this an amazing company? Why will it be a monopoly? Why will it be a trillion-dollar company 10, 15, 20 years from now, whatever the time frame is? And we actually ask that to the founders. Why is it what you're building going to be big? Why is it going to change the world? How are you going to get there? And Larry and Sergey, who I was very fortunate to work very early on in 1999 at Google, like they knew the answer to all these questions. It sounded cuckoo when they said the answer, oh, there's 21 search engines, we're going to be number 22. But all the 21 search engines that exist today are all bad. They're all doing it wrong. They don't care about the user. They care about making money. They, in fact, care about tricking the user to stay on Google. I mean, stay on Yahoo or stay on Alta Vista, all these dead search engines today, for as long as humanly possible. That was the model that they used to make money. It was display ads, right? And display ads, you would make more money if you trick the user to stay as long as possible. And when you're doing a search, the user's incentive or the user's behavior, they want to get off as quickly as possible. They want to go straight to your biography. If I'm looking you up as, like, what articles has Katie Roof written? They want to get to the answer. They don't want to go sit there and learn about fantasy football or get a weather report or worse yet, go get a horoscope. But that's what these portals did. They would upsell you on these things that would get you stay as long as possible. And Larry and Sergey said there's a better way to do it. There's an ad system, which I helped build and write, that was about matching people in the moment when you're doing the search rather than giving you punch-to-monkey ads that would keep you on. That was a unique insight. And they said, because we understand that insight that no one else can build, we will win. And so that's what we look for when we invest in founders. How are you going to win? And what is the insight that you have will win? Very few people have that. Everybody else says, I copycat, I'm going to do some portal. It's the easy way out. And then I got Sequoia, Andreessen, General Catalyst. I get one of these names in there. And that's the pitch that a lot of people give, because that's what most people want to hear. And I sit there and go, like, I don't want to hear that. I want to hear what you're doing that's going to change the world. And by the way, how will you get there? It's okay to have a vision, but if you don't know how to get there, it's like driving to Sweden or Malmo or somewhere that you want to do, directions. You don't know how to get there, right? You might make a wrong turn and wind up in a lake somewhere. The best founders have the direction map in their head. I still remember when Cliff and Mel pitched me for Canva. They said, we're going to go create design software that people can design anything, do it easily, and not have to worry about learning a professional tool. And that was their unique insight. They said, we were high school yearbook teachers. We met in high school. In order to do yearbook, you have to take 3 years of the class to learn how to use Photoshop, InDesign, and these very professional tools. And on the 4th year, you can make the yearbook in your senior year. And then they basically said, we're going to build a yearbook in the cloud so that people can do it in year 1. You don't have to take my class for 3 years to learn Photoshop and learn how to use a camera. You can just do it in 1 year. And then yearbook was too small, so they said, we're going to do it for everything. But they truly understood that to jump there had to be a bunch of things they had to do. And they presented their pitch on a pirate's map. It was a pirate's treasure ship. But here are the steps that need to happen. That's clarity that very few people have. And so when you say, how do we spot these founders? They have a pirate's map. They have a vision. They know how to get there. And they're so compelling on the storytelling that you sit there and go, how much you want? I'm going to back up the truck. So that's the formula.
And so how did you do diligence? I mean, they were so unconventional. They were in Australia. They didn't have, your typical, a lot of VCs I talk to, they say, we do pattern recognition, and then all their founders look the same. This was just such an outside-of-the-box story. What was it about them in particular? I mean, obviously, it sounds like they had a big idea and they had a clear mission. But how do you know that they're going to do what they say they're going to do?
You never know, right? Like, that's the bet of venture capital. But what I do know that is, in my business, I can fail 9 out of 10 times and still look like a genius. If I'm a doctor or a surgeon and I killed 9 out of 10 people, I'd be put in jail, right? I'd be like stripped of my medical license. You see, I get to fail 9 out of 10 times. If the one happens to be Canva, I'm on the Midas list. That's the weird thing about this business, is that we want people to fail you. Because if you take enough risks, you can find the Google. Most people don't want to take the risk because, like, fail once, fail twice, fail 3 times, they kick you out. And luckily I've been taught at Google, you have to fail a lot to basically win. Google had in the old days, we called them the $1 million mistakes. I remember Bill Campbell, who was Larry and Sergey's legendary coach. There's a famous book called $1 Trillion Coach written about him. He was Steve Jobs' coach, and he had worked across some of the most amazing founders in Silicon Valley. And he always said, Wesley, go fail and make the $1 million mistakes. So when the $1 billion opportunity comes and you need to go make the play, you don't fumble that. He was a football coach. So he said, fail a lot, but when time comes, don't fail on that one. But you will fail on the big one if you don't learn from the mistakes that you fail on. So in venture, we don't get it right. I think the presenter said that I had 5 Decacorns or 20 unicorns. People forget that I've probably done 100 companies and 80 of them are terrible, right? And I'm okay with that because in order to get to the Canva, you have to make a bunch of mistakes in the companies that maybe got the timing wrong. Maybe the founder didn't quite see the vision that they needed to do. Maybe they made a right turn instead of a left turn, and then somebody caught up in the race. Maybe the wheels fell off the car. Who knows? But there's a lot of luck in this business, and I just have to be around long enough for the luck to take hold and find the Larry and Sergeys or the Cliff and Mel's of Canva and really back them and sort of say, wow, you are doing something different. But you never know in the moment.
Yeah, so let's talk about some of the failures you've witnessed. I mean, what kind of lessons have you learned? What are the common pitfalls that founders make?
So I think the first lesson that I learned is, it's not my company, it's their company. There's a humility that you need in this business. There's a mentality in a lot of VCs that I meet and I work with, many of them here. Oh, I won't invest in a company unless I can do a lot for them. Cliff and Mel never needed me. Let's be honest. I'm a lucky person that happened to hitch a ride on their wagon for the journey. It's their company, not mine. Now, I was fortunate enough to be on their board. I was fortunate enough to be helpful to them in moments that mattered. But they would have been a $40, $50 billion success, if not more, without Wesley Chan involved. Which that takes a lot of humility to say, but it's true. So you just have to be okay doing companies that you're not going to dig in and go run the company for them. In fact, what founder wants a VC running their company? The second thing is the best founders don't need you, and the best founders can execute on their own. And it takes a lot of humility to say, oh, those founders are amazing because they don't need me. Cliff and Mel are just such amazing executors. They're some of the best storytellers on the planet, some of the best fundraising people on the planet. They're some of the best hirers on the planet. They're some of the best product people on the planet. You want founders that have that full package, and that picking really, really matters. And so that's what we look for when we do an investment. The less they need me, the more they're able to execute, the more they're able to find amazing talent, the more they're able to sit down with you. And when they pitch you a story, you sit there going, that's amazing, I want to go write about it. Those are some of the elements where you don't need the VC to interject, and that they go do something great. And that's another piece where, the failures that I had in my early days of being a VC, all the big zeros, the ones that we don't talk about, or no one goes on stage and going, Wesley failed 80 times before he got to the one. Those are the companies where I said, oh, I'm a product guy. I built Google's ad system. I built Google Analytics. I founded this. I can help them build their product. They don't. The best ones don't need me. And those are the ones I sort of sat there because I could help. The founders didn't quite have the ability to go execute or build product. And, I wound up sort of getting a little too involved and, wrecking the company. So those are some mistakes that I learned early on. Don't get too involved. Don't pick founders that need you.
How do you go about sourcing your deals? Because it seems like you're investing in founders the world over in, uncharted categories sometimes. How do you find these people?
Well, the first thing is you show up, right? I'm in the middle of Denmark, and I don't live here. Canva's in the middle of Sydney. I don't live there. And it's, you show up. The second thing is, this is a business that's a word of mouth business. It's just like how you source stories. You have a bunch of sources. You have a bunch of friends. They whisper things to you. They'll share things with you. And sometimes, those things aren't public yet, and that gives you the scoop. It's the same thing. I'm in the scoop business too. But my scoops are for great founders. Who's building what? Most of my top referrals come from other founders that I had the opportunity to help out and work with and be on their journey. Canva, it's an Australian company, but I happen to be very fortunate to invest in another great Australian company called Culture Amp. Didier, who's the CEO, said you should meet Cliff and Mel. They're in the same. We share that one of the same investors. They haven't made any revenue yet. Some people think they can't raise, but they're very exceptional product managers. When some founder that I've worked with, that I trust, and that trusts me, tells me that, I'm on the next plane over from Melbourne to Sydney. And I got to spend 3 days with them in Sydney and learn about what they're doing. No one else showed up, right? Australia from San Francisco is a 16 to 18-hour flight, depending on the winds. And because I happened to be there, I was able to work with them. But they weren't actively raising. A lot of investors have passed on them, but you don't see their brilliance unless you sit down with them for a couple days and say, what do you truly want to build? So it's word of mouth. It's other founders saying, hey, Wes is a great product person. He built all these great things at Google. You should go spend some time with him. He can help you with your product. And then it's just the luck of being in a place where you happen to be with an amazing founder at the same time. And that combination gives you some of these unicorns that you get to find. And again, a lot of luck involved in it.
And so now you're a founder. You started your own venture firm, FPV Ventures. How does that compare, being on your own versus, you were at Felicis and before that GV. So, how does that?
One of the great things about starting your own firm is that you get to pick the founders you get to work with. And you don't have to argue with people in your firm about like whether that deal needs to be done or whether it's got customer fit or customer traction. You sit there and you get to spend time with the founder and go, this founder is amazing. We're backing this person. Now, obviously, you have a team to help you with diligence, to help you with understanding the founder's dream, to help you recruit people for the founder, to help you. None of the founders need that, but if you can help them achieve that dream faster, that's fantastic. But you get to keep the culture and the size and the ethos of the firm the same. One of the things, we picked FPV for many reasons, but it's like 3 random letters, but it stands for so many things. We talked about one of the things that's really important to us, first principles, right? So we call it first principle ventures. We want monopolies. We want founders that know how to find great product. We want founders that don't need us. We want founders that know how to change the world. We want founders with amazing clarity. These are all questions that we go through on the investment memo going like, do they have clarity or not? If the answer is no, then it's a hard one for us to do investment. But the other thing that really matters to us is like Cliff and Mel, we want to be one of their first phone calls. So it's first phone call ventures, right? That's the piece that is important. We remind everybody on our team that the success of the investment doesn't matter how much money they make. That's what the money matters at some point in the end. But the way you win more companies, the way you find more Canvas, the way founders kind of give you that word of mouth is that they have a trust relationship with you. And if you violate that trust relationship, you're not one of their first phone calls. They won't tell other founders, you should go work with Wes, you should go work with FPV. That's a really important ethos of ours. So we tell everybody, it means first phone call ventures. We judge the success of the relationship with every founder that we work with, whether they ring the bell in the stock exchange or whether they shut off the lights, whether we're their first phone call or one of their first phone calls. If we're not one of their first phone calls, then we failed. I don't care what the outcome is. That's another piece that's important. So this goes back to your question. Wes, why did you found your own firm? It's because those things most VC firms don't do. I don't want to call my colleagues in other firms out, but they're not first phone call. They're first like board seat or whatever else they want to go do to run the company or take control of it or everything else. We're about first phone call. So I get to go set the culture. I get to set the way we measure success, and I get to set what relationship we want to have with every founder. And when you're the founder or you're the CEO of the firm, along with my co-founder Pega, that's the agreement that we have. We need to measure our success by who counts us as one of their first phone calls. And I'm very honest with every founder. Hey, if we're not one of your first calls, if one of your first phone calls, if I did something to screw up that relationship, I need you to tell me. I want so much trust between us that you're willing to tell me. I don't want you to hide this. I don't want you to get resentful. I don't want you to go sit there and tell everybody else that stupid Wesley did this horrible thing to me. I want you to tell me so I can fix it. And I screw up a lot. I'm not perfect. There's 30 plus companies, and I don't keep track of what I do on every one. That sometimes I might piss off a founder, but I have a relationship where they at least are honest. They'll tell me, and then I'll try my best to fix it. And if not, then I've screwed up there, and that's one of my failures. That's a very important piece of culture that very few people have in venture firms.
And so, do you think of yourself as an AI investor? I mean, that's certainly the most talked about category these days. Or how do you feel about the different sectors and opportunities?
I feel, look, let's be honest, AI is going to be part of everything, right? People are chasing AI today, but I'm such an old fart in this business. I started when when mobile was the hot thing, right? Do you remember everybody creating these mobile funds and saying, oh, we're investing in mobile? No one says that today because mobile is part of everything. United Airlines has mobile, SAS has mobile. They all build this stuff in-house. It's part of their distribution. It's part of their strategy. It's part of their internal teamwork. AI is going to be the same thing. Everybody's going to be using AI, whether it's the information where you work, or it's my firm at FPV, or Canva. They have an AI product called Magic, right? And Magic Canva that you type something in and it creates it for you. It's not great right now, but it will get a lot better. And as the models improve, they'll get better. AI is just going to be part of everybody's daily lives. It's not going to be a thing later on that everybody is going to go, oh, it's an investment category. So I invest in companies that happen to use AI, but like, use AI for their business and they can get to some edge or some result or achieve whatever their dream is that they told you faster, right? Just like how Canva is using AI today. They're not an AI company, but they use AI and it's a massive part of their new product release. So I think that that's going to happen with everything. So I just happen to be an investor and AI is there.
And so what do you think about Europe's startup scene?
We have a few European companies, not many. It's not for lack of being here. I think it's a different mentality than you see in the U.S. So it's a little challenging for us, right? And the ones that we've invested in here in Europe tend to focus on regulation, which is something that's sort of atop of everybody's mind in Europe because it's such a big sort of issue. So polite answer is we're monitoring. We hope it becomes something very interesting, but right now it's still in a stage where it's not as competitive as we're able to find elsewhere.
So there's a lot of questions that are showing up on the screen. Someone wanted to know, when will we have the first one-person unicorn? That is a question I've heard other people ask now. I mean, I guess that relates to the AI topic. I mean, I don't know. Is that something that you're taking seriously as a concept, or are you still expecting these companies to?
I think it's a red herring.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. Like everybody talks, we can have a one-person unicorn. They use AI and they launch it. AI is going to be net deflationary. It's going to automate a lot of people's jobs away. It's going to automate a lot of things. I have one company who's like in drug development. It's doing very, very well, but it used to have thousands of people running clinical trials and sort of like collecting the data and managing the data, going through the data, putting the data into spreadsheets. And today they're down from 1,000 to like 160, right? They got rid of a lot of people, or a lot of people attritioned out because they don't need all these people anymore because all the AI automates that data collection, data management, data monitoring, and data flagging for them. Like, it's net deflationary. You can do a lot more with a lot less people. And I think that's the beauty of what AI is going to bring. It may not be good for this sort of, job destruction that may occur, but it's definitely going to make people a lot more efficient, automate a lot more work, and be very deflationary in terms of what it costs to run a company. So could it be a one-person unicorn? Sure, theoretically. Is that going to be realistic that somebody's not going to have a salesperson or have people handle relationships? You still need AI for that. I mean, you still need people for that, not the AI. I'm sure an AI bot could interview me on stage today and automate you away. Or instead of interviewing me, you interview AI Wesley, and then that automates me away, which is great. I could go spend more time taking pictures of bears or something fun. But
I prefer the real Wesley to AI Wesley.
But it may not be as crazy or as loud or as fast talking as me. So, I think it's a red herring. I just think that if you understand the trends of AI helping people automate more, be more efficient, and therefore being more deflationary, then you can have much more interesting companies to get started with a lot less. It's like what happened when cloud came, right? Like before, people had to build their own servers and have their own data centers, and cloud sort of automated a lot of that away for a monthly fee. And that's what we're going to see with AI. You're going to automate a lot of what is expensive for a monthly fee.
And so, for a few years there weren't a lot of liquidity events, but IPOs are making a comeback. I know you're an early stage investor, but Canva is getting pretty close. I mean, do you think we'll see an IPO on the horizon?
Every time I'm on stage with you, you ask that question about the IPO. It will come.
Hey.
That's all I can say.
It will come.
Yes, it will come.
So let's see here. A lot of questions on AI. A lot of questions on Europe. Someone wanted to know that as a founder, can they honestly communicate their failures and challenges without scaring away investors?
The nuance here is what investor they're working with, right? My founders are very honest with a lot of things that keep them up at night. I don't think they frame it as a failure, but they frame it as, I don't know the answer to this, and it could lead to catastrophic consequences if I don't get ahead of it. And that's a very honest discussion I can have with them. And because I have this first phone call relationship, they trust me to have this. Whereas some other investors, if they're vulnerable to them, they might use it against them, or worse yet, they might fire them, which is the worst nightmare of any investor, any founder coming in. So I think it depends on your investor. The best ones you built trust with, you trust them to help you out, you trust them to help you get ahead of the curve, and those are the ones that you want to get around the table with you. So my advice isn't how do you have that conversation with your investors. Go pick the investors you can have that conversation with, and then go have that conversation with them. You will know who those investors are if you're smart at investing. If you're smart at being a founder and being choosy on who you pick.
So you like people that are honest and real with you because you're honest and real with them. What are some red
I'm
flags?
not only honest and real with them, I give them safety, right? I mean, tell me what you have. I'll help you solve the problem so that you don't have to get to that point where the mistake is going to be made. It's the ones that keep it from their investors, and then the mistake gets made, and the investor gets surprised, and then it's like, that's where the board meetings get very contentious.
So for founders that have their pick of their litter when it comes to investors, what are some red flags they should watch for with investors?
I can help you. Any investor that says I can help you probably isn't going to be that helpful. I'm really, they'll probably cause more damage than not and actually be the opposite. That's actually very interesting. I've noticed that. I don't tell any founder I can help them. I just say, I'm along for your journey. Will you let me be part of that journey and give me the good fortune of helping to be on the same wagon with you? And then if there's one or two things I can do that move the needle for you, I'll try my best, but I don't promise them any help.
Interesting.
The ones that don't need me, right? Canva has never needed me. They're just such amazing executors. That's the nuance, right? And if I sit there and it's like, oh, you should take my money or you should take my investment because I can help you solve all these things. They'd sit there and run away, going I don't need Wesley solving these things for me. The best founders don't need that. That's actually a very counterintuitive insight that I've been lucky enough to develop.
Earlier you were talking about the challenges with regulation in Europe, and that's the theme I've been hearing here, that it can be hard to innovate in a region where maybe there's a lot of legislation against that. Are you finding that that's making it hard for some companies here to be good investments, or?
Yes.
What do you think
I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of people in Brussels and Strasbourg that just love talking about regulation. Oh, we need to regulate. Look at GDPR. We talked about, let's protect all these people's privacy, and what wound up happening? You got these really annoying messages that pop up on every website. Oh, do you accept this cookies? It made the user experience worse for 90% of websites, and it added very little value to users. But that was regulation that sort of came up. We don't have this in the U.S.
And so you'd like to see some regulatory changes here, like a reduction in regulation before you go all in on Europe.
Yeah, I mean, the better way to phrase it or frame it is not I don't need less regulation. I need a mentality that isn't regulation first, and then we'll let the innovation take place. But there is a mentality in Europe where everybody thinks about the regulation first. Oh, the number of times I've heard some founder like that, or the Europe office sort of say, look, we're not going to go move forward with that because there's some regulation coming down the road and we don't know what it's going to be, or it might hurt us or it might hit us. I'm sitting there going well, you're going to lose your lunch on that one to the people in countries or in geographies or with mentalities aren't regulatory first and then go do stuff. The U.S., whether you like it or not, is we do it first and then we ask for forgiveness later.
So if you encounter a founder that's that's very early, as you do you encourage them to leave and go, start in the U.S. or UK, or how do you approach that?
But remember, I'm the hands-off investor, right? I don't run their company. So I sit there and listen to what they want to go do, and if they think that they want to go to the U.S. because it's a better thing, then that gives me a little bit more comfort in that they're going to a place that's a little bit more friendly for hiring, a little more friendly for them achieving their dream, a little more friendly for them to not have to worry about breaking some law where they get fined 1,000 euros a day for something they're like, what? I didn't even know I did.
What about the M&A environment? I mean, it seems like lately, all of a sudden, there's a lot of unicorn M&A. Are you seeing that across the board? Is it just the AI researchers that are getting bought, or do you feel like...
Yeah, it's mainly AI companies being bought, and then the second thing is that a lot of the structure on some of these AI companies, the investors aren't getting their money back. It's actually kind of crazy, right? We'll give the investors 2-3x their money back and then save all the rest of the consideration and back pay for the founders. It's nuts. Even if you looked at how some of the scale AI stuff sort of happened, more than half the considerations went to Alex and his founding team. The investors got some great return out of it, but it was a very strange structure. So that's what companies are getting a little bit more wily about this, which is kind of interesting. So it's not even though the exit looks good on paper, some people may not be getting the big returns that they were hoping for.
Yeah, there was a lot of controversy about this, with the Windsurf deal.
Yeah.
Do you think that some of these deals are going to make it harder to attract talent to startups if they feel like the exit isn't going to be a real exit for them?
That is the logical conclusion.
Got it. Well, I think.
But here's the thing: if it IPOs and they wind up having a great exit there, then suddenly everybody's very happy because in IPOs, a lot of employees make out too, just as well as the founders do. Everybody shares in the joy there.
So is it 2021 again with the AI stuff, or is it?
No, I think it's slightly different. I think it's like sometimes 2021, it's a seesaw. Sometimes 2023, I mean, I don't know.
Bifurcated market.
Yes, that's the way I look at it.
All right, well, thank you so much. It was great catching up with you.
It was really fun doing this. It's good to see everyone. Thanks.